Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you're new. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make these super cute gnomes. This gnome whips up pretty quickly and it's super low sew. All of the limbs and everything are crocheted in, so it's pretty quick and easy and it comes out so cute. Today I'm going to show you how to make these guys, and this is the final week of our 10 weeks of market tutorials series here on the channel, so you can now watch all 10 weeks of the tutorials and follow all the patterns for making these super cute market makes. They're all super low sew or no sew, very quick and easy, and they sell really well at markets, so be sure to check out all the other ones after this one. But now let's just get into the materials you'll need to make these guys. So for this project I recommend using 4 different colors of yarn. So the first one's going to be for the body, so this is going to be for the body and the arms, and I'm going to be using this green. This is Bernat blanket yarn. It's weight 6, super bulky, and you can use a different weight or a different yarn, but it will come out different and you might want to adjust the hook size as well. The next color I'm going to be using is for the hat, and it is going to be this color. It's just white with green speckles, so I just like to have 2 different colors, one for the head and one for the body. And then I also am going to be using this color for the hand and the nose, and then just some white Bernat blanket for the beard. So these are all Bernat blanket yarns, weight 6, super bulky. So that is what I'm going to be using for this project. And then in terms of materials, for this guy I'm going to be using a 8mm hook. You could also use a 6 with this same yarn, but it will come out smaller. I'm also going to be using a stitch marker to keep track of my round, a tapestry needle for just weaving in the ends and stuff, a pair of scissors, and I also like to use a smaller hook. This is just a 5mm because it makes it easier to add the beard on. You don't have to have this, you could use the tapestry needle or just the regular hook, but this is my favorite method, so I just grab a smaller hook to do the beard at the end. And then I also have stuffing. So that is all the materials you'll need to make this guy. I don't put any safety eyes on it. You could put eyes on it, I guess, but the hat's kind of meant to cover the eyes, so it's super cute. And now that we have all the materials, let's get into how to make the gnome. I'm going to start by making the arms and the nose. So this is my first arm that I made, and you're going to want to make 2 of them. So I'm going to show you how to do the arm first and then the nose, and then we'll move on to the body and the hat. So the first color you're going to want to grab is whatever one you're using for the hands and the nose. So I'm going to be using this off-white color. And for this tutorial, it is beginner friendly, but also I'm not going to be going really in depth with the stitches or the magic ring or anything, because it's more of an in-depth tutorial, so that would just take a really long time. So if you're struggling with how to do it, you can watch a how to crochet tutorial, how to do a magic ring tutorial, etc. But I wouldn't recommend following any tutorial if you've never crocheted before, because it will be very hard. But I'm going to be starting with a magic ring. You could also do a chain too, but if you can do a magic ring, I would suggest doing that, because we're going to only be doing 4 single crochets, so it can be really hard to do that with a chain two. So go ahead and make a magic ring, and now, like I said, we are going to be doing 4 single crochets into the magic ring, and that will be round 1 of the arm. And once we've done the 4 singles, we're just going to kind of close up the ring. I'm not going to secure it until the end of the next round, just in case I have to open it back up. But now we can move on to round 2, and for round 2 we are going to be starting with 1 single crochet into the very first stitch, and then I'm going to add my stitch marker, and then in the next stitch I'm going to be putting 2 single crochets for an increase. So in the next stitch, 1 single crochet, and then the final stitch, a increase, so 2 single crochets. And this leaves us with 6 singles in round 2. Sorry if you can hear somebody hammering outside. I don't know what they're doing. But now I'm just going to secure the magic ring with a few knots. And we're going to be color changing to the body color now, so whatever color you're using for the body of the gnome and the arms. So I'm just going to grab that color, and to color change this, I'm just going to grab the yarn, attach it to the hook, and pull it right through that loop, and then I'll just tighten this off-white one, and then I will tie both of these ends together. So you can go ahead and cut off the hand color now. And I'm just going to tie these two in knots. And now we can continue. So for round 3 to round 6 of this arm, we are going to just be putting 1 single crochet around for a total of 6 in each round. So I'm going to do round 3 with you guys, and then I will let you guys go to do 3 more rows of 1 single crochet around for a total of 4 rounds of 6 singles around. I'm just going to do my first single and attach my stitch marker, and then I'm just going to repeat that all the way around. And there's my cat, super helpful. So I'm just going to go ahead and do this for a total of 4 rounds, and it will be rounds 3 to round 6. And once we have completed that, I will come back and show you guys how to finish up the arm. Okay, I've now completed my 4 rows of green, or whatever color you're using for the body. So now I am going to finish the arm up by putting 2 slip stitches across. So I just fold it in half, and technically we have 6 single crochets, right? So you could do 3 slip stitches, but for this one I'm going to do 2 because that's how I like to crochet them into the hat. So I'm just gonna go into that next stitch and kind of the stitch across, but I kind of skip the one in between those and just make a slip stitch. And then same thing for the next one, just make 1 more slip stitch, and then to finish that off I just chain and tie off. And you just need to leave a short tail because we're not going to sew these on. And you can go ahead and weave this into the arm if you want to hide it, or just hide it into the body. That's what I'm going to do. So now that we have our arm, we're going to go ahead and make 1 more arm. So I already have mine, but you can go ahead and repeat those steps to make a total of 2 arms. And now I am going to move on to how to make the nose. The nose is pretty simple. We're going to start by doing a magic ring. You can also do a chain 2 if that's easier. And I'm going to put 6 single crochets into the magic ring for round 1. And I'm just going to tighten up the ring now that I have my 6 singles. And for round 2, I'm going to be doing the exact same thing. So working into the first single crochet, I'm just going to put 1 single and add my stitch marker in. And then I'm just going to do 1 single in every stitch all the way around for a total of 6 in round 2. Once that's done, I'm just going to remove the stitch marker and close up the magic ring. Now I'm just going to flip it so the right side is facing out. And to finish off the nose, I am just going to be putting 2 slip stitches across it, just like we did with the arms. So going into that next stitch and just the stitch across it, and putting 1 slip stitch, and then repeating that 1 more time. And then again, for the nose, you'll just need to leave a very short tail because I'm just going to kind of weave it into the body. And you'll notice I didn't stuff either the arms or the nose. That's just because I don't feel like it needs it. If you want to add a little bit of stuffing, especially to the arms, you can, but I really don't think that it's super necessary. So now that we have our nose all complete, we are going to start on the body of our gnome. So grab the color that you used for the arms, and we will get started on how to make the body. Okay, so for the body, I'm going to start by doing a magic ring. You can also do a chain 2. And I'm going to be putting 7 single crochets into the magic ring. So just a little note here before we start. I did try and do this by doing 6 single crochets into the magic ring to start and then doing the increases that way, but I prefer the body being 7 single crochets to start out with. I just like the shape of it more. But just so you guys know, the stitch count on the body ends up being slightly more than the one on the hat. So if you want a more oversized hat, then I will tell you how to either do more rows on the hat, or you can do 6 single crochets at the start of the body and then just do the increases. But with 6 instead. If you aren't a beginner, you probably know how to do that, but I really like the way this looks. It just doesn't give like the hat like a super oversized look, so that is just what I've decided to do for mine. But with that being said, I'm gonna start by putting my 7 single crochets into the magic ring. Okay, now that we finished our 7 singles, I just secured my magic ring, and now for round 2, I'm going to be putting 1 increase in every stitch all the way around. So that's 2 single crochets in every stitch all the way around, and that will leave us with a total of 14 single crochets in round 2. I just finished up round 2, so I'm going to start round 3 by putting 1 single crochet and adding my stitch marker. And now that we have our 1 single crochet for round 3, in the next stitch we are going to put 2 single crochets for an increase. And that is what we are going to repeat all the way around for round 3. So we'll be doing 1 single crochet followed by an increase a total of 7 times, and that will leave us with 21 stitches in round 3. Now that round 3 is all complete, we're going to start with round 4, which will be our last round of increasing. So I just started by doing 1 single crochet to start out the round. And now that we have that, we are going to be putting 1 more single crochet into the very next stitch. And now that we have 2 singles, we are going to do a increase in the next stitch. So 2 single crochets in the very same stitch. And that will be what we repeat a total of 7 times all the way around, so 2 single crochets and an increase, and that will leave us with 28 stitches in round 4. Okay, I just finished round 4, so we're going to start round 5. And for round 5, we are going to be working in the back loops only of the round we just made. So we are going to not put our hook into that very front loop that you guys can see, just the back loop. So if we turn it to the side, they kind of look like V shapes. So you're just going into the back of that V, not the front. And we do this because it helps make the bottom of our gnome nice and flat so that it stands up on its own. We are just going to be putting 1 single crochet all the way around, but in the back loops only. So insert your hook into that very first back loop and put a single crochet. Grab your stitch marker, and now that we have that, we're just going to continue putting 1 single crochet in every back loop only all the way around. So we will have a total of 28 stitches by the time we are finished round 5. Okay, I just finished round 5, so I'm now going to start round 6, and from now on we're just going to be working into both loops again normally, so no more back loop only. And for rounds 6, 7, and 8, so 3 rounds total, we are just going to be putting 1 single crochet in every stitch all the way around. So for the next 3 rounds, you should have 28 stitches in each row. And once we have completed all of that, I'm going to show you guys how to decrease up the body and finish it up. But just go ahead and put 1 single crochet around for a total of 28 in the next 3 rounds. So round 6, 7, and 8, and we will come back for round 9 once that's all complete. Okay guys, I just finished my 3 rounds, so we're now on to round 9 of the project. And for round 9, we are going to be putting decreases. So start off by just doing 1 single crochet, and then we are going to be putting 1 single crochet in the next stitch as well, and then we'll be making a decrease. And I like to do invisible decreases, so to do that you just go into the front loop of the next 2 stitches and pull up a loop, and then pull through all of them and just make your decrease. So now that we have that, we are going to repeat that a total of 7 times. So 2 single crochets followed by a decrease. And this will leave us with a total of 21 stitches in round 9. Okay, round 9 is all complete, so we're now moving on to round 10. So to start round 10, just put 1 single crochet in the first stitch, and then we'll be doing a decrease into the next stitch. So just an invisible decrease, and that is what we will repeat for round 10. So 1 single crochet followed by a decrease 7 times for a total of 14 stitches at the end of round 10. Okay, I just finished round 10, but before I move on to the last round, I'm going to stuff the body. And for round 11, we are just going to be putting 1 decrease in every stitch all the way around 7 times for a total of 7 stitches at the end of the round. And this will be our last round, so at the end I will show you guys how to close up the body, and then we will move on to the hat. Okay, I just finished the final round, so now I'm just going to add a little bit more stuffing. And I'm now going to tie off and leave a bit of a tail just to close the body up. And I'm just going to grab my tapestry needle. And to close up the body, I'm just going to insert my needle into the front loops of the last round we just did, all the way around, and then I'll just pull it once I've completed that all the way around, and it will close up the body. And now that I have that, I'm just going to secure it with some knots. And I'm just going to hide this end into the body. Okay, and this is the body all complete. So now we'll move on to the final part of the gnome, which is the hat, and then we'll work on finishing it all up. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my hat color and we'll get started. Okay, I have my hat color, so we're gonna start out on the hat now. And again, I just wanted to tell you guys, like, the hat will end up being slightly smaller than the body. Technically, you can do 1 additional row at the end of increases, which will give you 27 stitches at the end, which is much closer to 28 like we have on the body. But personally, I don't like to do that because there is then an odd number and it makes it difficult to crochet the pieces in. And that was really important to me for this pattern because I like to make things as low sew as possible. So if you would like to do 27, you totally can, but you'll probably have to sew on all of the nose and arms individually. With that being said, we are going to start by making a magic ring or a chain 2. And to start out, we're going to be doing 4 single crochets into the magic ring. And that is round 1 of our hat. So for round 2, we're going to start by doing 1 single into that first stitch we made. And inserting our stitch marker. And I'm just going to close up the magic ring and secure it. And now that we have our 1 single crochet to start out round 2, in the next stitch we are going to be putting 2 single crochets for an increase. And then we will repeat that one more time. 1 single crochet in the next stitch. And then the final stitch, a increase. So this will leave us with 6 single crochets in round 2. For round 3, we are going to start by doing 1 single crochet, and we will be doing the same thing we did in round 2, so an increase in the next stitch, and then repeating that, so 1 single crochet in the next stitch and an increase in the next stitch. But because we increased in the last round, we are going to be doing this 1 additional time, so 1 single crochet in the next stitch and an increase in the final stitch. So we will now have 9 stitches at the end of round 3. For round 4, we're going to start with 1 single, and we will also be doing 1 single in the next stitch. And then once we have our 2 singles, we're going to be doing a increase in the 3rd stitch. And that will be what we repeat around, so 2 single crochets and an increase, a total of 3 times for 12 stitches at the end of round 4. Okay, round 4 is all complete, so for round 5 we will start with 1 single, and for this round we will be doing 3 single crochets followed by an increase. So we have just done our 3 singles, so now we'll do our increase, and we'll do that 3 times total for 15 single crochets in round 5. For round 6, we will be doing 4 single crochets and then an increase in the 5th, and that will be repeated 3 times all the way around for a total of 18 single crochets at the end of round 6. For round 7, we will be doing 5 single crochets and then an increase. And this will be repeated 3 times all the way around, and it will leave us with a total of 21 stitches at the end of round 7. Okay, round 8 is going to be our last round of increases, so we are going to start by doing 6 single crochets. And then an increase in the 7th stitch, and this will be repeated 3 times all the way around for a total of 24 stitches in round 8. Okay, we now finished round 8, so for round 9, like I said before, you could do 1 more round of increases, so that would be 7 single crochets and then an increase, but again, that won't make adding in the arms and like the nose really possible since it's an odd number. So I am just going to use this, and I'm going to just make 1 single crochet all the way around, so we'll still be left with 24 stitches at the end of round 9. I have now completed round 9. Now we will move on to round 10. For this round, we will be crocheting in the arms and the nose, so you'll want to have those with you and ready. So we are also going to be working into the front loop only of all the stitches. So you'll remember how we worked into the back loop in the body, and now we will be working into only the front loop. So that loop right there. We will also be doing half double crochets for round 10. So I will show you guys how to do that. All you have to do is yarn over before you start the stitch, insert into the front loop only, and in this first stitch we will be attaching our first arm. So just make sure when you attach the arm you have this kind of color change flipped downwards so that you don't really see it, and then you're going to insert your hook into that first slip stitch we made into the arm, and then we will yarn over, pull that loop through the arm stitch, through that front loop only, and then once we have 3 loops on the hook, yarn over and pull through all 3 of them. You can add your stitch marker if you want to, and then we will repeat that. So yarn over, insert into the next front loop only, go into the slip stitch from the arm, yarn over, pull through that arm, pull through the front loop only, yarn over, and pull through all 3 loops. Now that we have our arm attached, we will be doing 4 half double crochets, 1 into the next 4 front loops only. So just yarn over, go into that next front loop and make a half double, and repeat that 3 more times. Okay, and once you have 4 half doubles, we will be adding on our nose. So just take your nose and start out the half double by yarning over and going into that front loop. Then we will be attaching our hook into the slip stitch from the nose. Then you just want to yarn over and pull through all of that and make our half double. And repeat that into the last slip stitch on the nose in the next stitch. And our nose is now all attached. So we will now be doing 4 half doubles in the front loops only of the next 4 stitches. So just 1 half double in the next 4 front loops. We will now be attaching the second arm, so just make sure again that color change is facing downwards. And we will just start out that first half double by inserting into that front loop only. Then we will attach to that first slip stitch of the arm and then just complete the half double. And one more time into the last slip stitch from the arm. And all we have to do now to finish out this round is just put 1 half double in the front loop only of the next 10 stitches. So the last 10 stitches remaining in the round, we will just be doing 1 half double like normal. And then our hat will be all complete. And I just did my 10 half doubles to end out the round. So to finish up the hat, we are just going to be putting a slip stitch in the very first half double that we made. And once we have that, we will be yarning over and just chaining. And then we will be tying off, but you want to leave a good amount of yarn for sewing the hat on to the body. So I'm just going to leave a good amount of yarn. It's better to leave too much than not enough. Now that that's done, before I go ahead and start my sewing, I'm just going to get all of these loose ends and weave them into that back loop only that we have left over to hide them into the hat. So I'm just going to use my tapestry needle to do this. Again, if you hid all your ends into like the arms and the nose while you were making them, you don't have to do this, but I just kind of think this is just as easy. So once I have that, I just kind of like go into the third loop of one of these stitches inside of the body. Just make sure it's not visible on the other side. And then I just secure that with some knots. If you left them long enough, you can also tie the ends together. But I did not, so I'm not going to be doing that. And once I'm done this, I'm going to show you guys how to attach this hat that we made on to the body, and then we will be doing the beard, and then the gnome will be all complete. Okay, so to attach the hat to the body, we're going to start by just adding our tapestry needle onto that end that we left and grabbing our body. So you want to make sure that we are putting the back loop only round that we did at the bottom, and we will be working into round 8 of the body. So it will be the last round of just 1 single crochet all the way around. So this is our back loop only round, and then we have 1, 2, 3 rounds up for round 8 of the body, and that is where we'll be attaching the head. So you can go ahead and mark that if you would like to. You don't have to, but I'm just going to mark it for you guys to see. And then we will be starting out on our hat, weaving our yarn into the back loop only that we left from round technically 9 of the hat, and just pulling that all the way through the back loop. And once we have that, we will be inserting our needle into round 8 of our body. So it's just the very center of the stitch I like to do. And also note a few of these stitches, 4 stitches total, you'll want to kind of go into both of the next stitches just because we have kind of an uneven amount, but it doesn't really matter, just make it even all the way around. So I am going to pull this yarn through, and now that it's attached, we can continue on. So I like to start out by inserting into the back loop only, so I'll find that very next one and pulling that through, and then I'll just go into the next stitch from round 8 of the body and pull that through. So this is kind of the easiest method of sewing I have found, because since we leave that back loop only for ourselves, it's not too difficult to figure out how to sew this guy up really quickly. So I'm just going to continue doing this all the way around. Quick note before I just continue doing this, you will want to stuff the hat. So you'll want to add stuffing to the hat. Right now I wouldn't suggest doing it because we've just started sewing, but you want to add some stuffing before you completely close up the hat, just so that it doesn't like go flat or anything once it's all sewn up. So I will be adding stuffing once I have just a few stitches left. Quick note also, once you get to the row change on your body, as you can see, mine's right there, we will actually kind of have to move down a little bit, because you'll see now my back loop is down here. Then I have 1, 2, 3 up for round 8, whereas before they were down here. So to make it nice and even, you kind of want to slope down. You don't have to do this if it's like a little too complicated for you guys, but it technically just makes it more even all the way around, since we kind of work in a spiral when we are doing rounds like this. So that is just a quick little note for you guys, that you'll kind of have to move down when you get to that point. But other than that, just go ahead and continue sewing all the way around, and I will come back once I'm ready to stuff. So now I'm just going to add some stuffing now that we have about this much remaining. And once it's all stuffed, I'll just continue until I've made it all the way around. I have now made it all the way around, so I'm just going into my last stitch of the body. And now that I'm all done, I'm just going to secure this with a couple of knots. And I'll now just insert my needle into the body and weave that through to hide the end. I'm just gonna cut off the extra. And now our gnome is almost all complete, so all we have left to do is the beard. The beard is pretty easy. So for the first part of the beard, we are going to take our white yarn and just measure the length that you kind of want the beard to be. I might do about this much, and then I'll just cut it if it's too long. And then you want to make double that for your beard, because we'll be slip-knotting these strands of yarn in. So I just kind of do that, and then I cut it. And then I will use this string that I just made as a measurement for the rest. And you can make as many of these as you want. Like, you can make the beard super full or not very full at all. I'm gonna do around 8 of these. So I'm just gonna go ahead and cut 8 pieces that are approximately the same length. And then I will show you guys how to attach them on to the body. Okay, and I have all my yarn ready, so I'm just going to grab that smaller hook I mentioned earlier. Mine's just a 5mm, and so we'll be placing the beard underneath the nose. So you just want to kind of flip it upwards, and you can kind of put it wherever you want, like as long as it's going to be nice and hidden. So just around here. So I like to start on one side, just wherever I want the beard to end on this side, and I'm going to insert my hook there. Then I'm going to attach the yarn on, and you'll want to make sure that it's kind of even on both sides, so just kind of match it up. It doesn't need to be perfect, but now that we have that, I'm going to pull that yarn through. And these are technically slip knots, so the last thing you'll want to do is just yarn over both of those strands of yarn and pull them through the loop we made, and then you'll want to pull it nice and tight. And that is the first little part of our beard. So we'll now just be repeating that. And I like to start by just doing one strand across, like however long I want it to be across, and then I'll go in and add another strand on to hearts I already added one to, just to make it a little bit like less sparse. So you'll just want to continue doing that until you have used up all of your yarn pieces, or until you're happy with the fullness of the beard. Okay, so I've made it around how full I want it to be. I used 8 strands of the yarn. So now I am just going to kind of grab all the strands, and I just like to trim them to make them a little bit more even. So I just kind of take them like this and just kind of trim them. You don't have to do this, especially if you did a better job than I did, but I just like to kind of trim them just to make it nice and even, and then we will be all done. Okay, and here is our finished gnome. I'm gonna grab the other ones and kind of raise up the camera a little bit so you guys can see it really good. I think these are just so cute, and I think they're gonna sell really well at markets because everyone just loves these little gnomes, including myself. I think they're so cute, and I think they will make a really unique addition to any market table. So let me know if you tried out this tutorial and if you liked it, and also let me know what colors you made, because I love to see all the different color combinations you guys make of my tutorials. And thank you guys so much for watching the 10 weeks of market tutorials. I had so much fun making them for you guys, and we made so many cute things. So thank you for your support on all those. Make sure to check out the rest of them if you have not already. Don't forget to like this video if you liked it, and subscribe to see more videos like this one, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!